Greetings, hoopheads, and welcome back to Jersey Jump Shot, where we eat, sleep, and breathe college basketball in the great Garden State. I'm Jerry Carino, and there is lots to talk about as the calendar turns to December. But let's start with my guest this week, who, like me, is a Jersey guy through and through. NJIT's Malachi Arrington, 6'11" sophomore. He hails from Somerville in Somerset County. He went to Immaculate Conception High School in Montclair. And what a season he's having so far. Just recorded his first collegiate double-double, 11 points and 11 rebounds against Eastern Michigan. He had 12 points and 7 boards in a win over FDU. And in his season-opening stunner at Fordham, he helped NJIT pull it out with 6 points and 6 rebounds. He's majoring in business. He's taking calculus. Oh, my goodness. Malachi, welcome to Jersey Jump Shot.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about your background. What brought you to NJIT, and what's it like to stay home and represent your state on the college stage?
So I was really like a late bloomer. So coming into high school, I didn't even play varsity my first year playing basketball. So sophomore year, I played JV. And then junior year, I started playing varsity at Immaculate. And that was like a rough year. That was like a learning year for me. And then that last year there is really when I started blowing up. Like I started getting like a lot of offers and stuff like that summer going into senior year. And that's when Grant had first saw me. And then coming into fall, we had a lot of schools come in. I had a lot of A-10 schools recruiting me. And Grant was recruiting me heavy. As soon as he saw me, offered me, got on a visit here. It was just a great environment, great culture, the staff. And, he was a big guy and he knew what it's like to play my position. So, like, really was a no-brainer just coming here and playing for him and growing with him. His first-time head coach, my first time playing college basketball. We're growing together.
You mentioned Grant is a big guy. He still is a big guy. Was a big man who played at Seton Hall collegiately. I covered him in those days. What are the biggest things you've learned from him so far?
I learned so much from him, especially about playing in the post. I feel like I play it like a lot different from the way he played back then. I'm more of an athletic big, so like jumping and everything, catching lobs and everything. He got like a lot more skill than I have. So like he taught me a lot of like how to just be a presence in the post, like with the ball, without the ball, defense, offense, everything. Just how to see the game different, how to, short roll, a whole bunch of different stuff you don't learn when you're just taught to just run at the rim and go dunk the ball.
Can Grant still dunk?
Yeah, he be dunking in practice. He'll get his height.
Does he suit up, like go up against you guys? Will he go one-on-one a little bit to demonstrate some moves or some defense?
We'll play one-on-one against him. Like he'll have a pad. Sometimes he might throw the pad down and just start playing one-on-one against us, like in a workout. But I remember last year he played 4-on-4 with us. I was guarding him. He wasn't trying to do too much. He wasn't trying to do too much, but he was definitely out there. He was playing against us.
You could see the old player in him a little bit, I bet, right?
Yeah, I see it, definitely.
All right, so let me tell you, do you know his nickname, what his nickname was in college?
Now, what was it?
It was G Banger.
Yeah, I actually knew that. I knew that.
Because nobody played harder than Grant, and I know he demands that of you guys. That was his style. Has he talked to you about some of the players he's developed, like Sandro Mamukelashvili, who's having a terrific season with the Toronto Raptors? That's a guy Grant developed really from scratch. Do you know anything about that? Did you discuss his past and that stuff at all with you guys?
Yeah, he talked to me a lot about him when I first got here, especially. He was on the Spurs, I remember. He talked to me a lot about him, like just about like when he came into Seton Hall, he wasn't really playing that much his freshman year, and the progression he made into now he's making an impact in the NBA roster. So like, he talked to me a lot about him and just like how far he's come and just how he trusted the process and things like that.
Malachi, he didn't play at all as a freshman, hardly. Sandro. Seton Hall was very good, but he didn't hardly play at all. So I'll tell you a story. I went to practice his freshman year. It was like the fall of his freshman year. I had never seen him play before. And I saw him put a move on one of Seton Hall's veteran defenders, handling the ball for a guy that size as a freshman. I pulled Grant aside afterwards, and I said, whoa, this kid can really play. And you know what, Grant like he got like he bunched up his face and he goes, he's got to get tougher. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what like Grant's MO was. And I'm sure that's the same with you guys, right? What are your practices like? Tell me a little bit about the toughness factor he tries to instill in NJIT.
It's always you got to go harder. Like it's never enough. We always got to keep going harder, harder. Even when you think you're going hard, you've got to go harder. Like even in our workouts, everything. Like the other day we was practicing. I played a lot of minutes this last week. We had 3 games, and Thursday we had practice before the game Friday, and we're practicing. We're working out. We're going. We're going. My body's a little sore. I might not be moving as fast. He's like, man, you need to get it up. Like you need to go harder. Like. So he really got me moving because like I'm ripping baseline. I'm not ripping as hard as I can, but like every move I do, every rep I do, he wants you to go hard. And somebody playing for somebody like that who always wants the best out of you, it's gonna get you far.
How much better is NJIT this season? I know it's early and you're playing this crazy road stretch right now. We'll get into that in a minute, but you were on the team last year. What is your sense for how much better this team can be once America East play begins?
Yeah, we're really good. We're really good. I think we got a chance to go really far. We're really good this year. We got freshmen come in making an impact immediately. We got guys coming off the bench making great impact. We got Ari. We got a complete team, honestly, and we're missing guys right now. When we get Melvin back, it's really going to be a real complete team, and we're really good, and we play really well together, and we're really close as a team too. So all that stuff, it goes into winning.
You mentioned freshman David Bolden, freshman point guard. Tell me about this guy. He's really sort of taking the stage by storm, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the season, Sebastian was the guy we needed, and then he had hurt his shoulder, and
Right.
to see Dave step up into a role and take on that role in first game, help us beat Fordham A-10 on the road, that's big time, and he really stepped into that role really well. He still has a lot to learn, but as a freshman, like coming into such a big role and doing what he's doing, he's doing really good. He's helping us tremendously.
What's it like having a guy like Ari Fulton who, he hits this game-winning shot against Loyola, having a go-to guy who you want the ball in his hands down the stretch? What's that like? And what was that win over Loyola like for you guys on the road?
Man, Loyola, if I'm being honest, I thought we was gonna beat them by a lot more. So just being that close to them and then coach being able to drop a play and Ari being able to execute it, that was like perfect basketball. That was exactly what we wanted. And like, sometimes, things don't always go the way you wanted to in life in general. Like you always ask like why is this harder for me? Why is God taking me on the harder route? But late in the stretch, I forget what the score was. We was tied. We was about to go into overtime.
Right.
Ball in Ari hands, and I seen him make that shot 100 times in practice for game. It really felt like picture perfect. Like I seen that play, I knew exactly what he was doing. I knew the shot was going in too. Like
Why are
I
we
seen him make
going the
that shot
harder
100
route?
times.
That's for moments like that, right, Malachi? That's why you
Yeah,
want
for
the
moments
harder
like
route.
that.
Let's talk about this stretch. You're in 6 straight road games. You went to Cincinnati, you went to Louisville, all over the country. What's that like as a player? How do you sort of keep your head together, and how do you juggle the academics, of NJIT when you're on the road that much this time of year?
Discipline, man, discipline. You gotta have discipline. So, you're on a bus, you might have a paper to do. You gotta do your homework on the bus. You gotta do your homework when you get to the hotel. You gotta be locked in on film, locked in on your body, taking care of your body, drinking water, stretching. It's discipline, man. It's a full-time job. So, this is what we want. This is what we want to be. We want to be professionals, and it starts now. You gotta
You
handle
really
it as a
got the books
professional.
out on the bus?
Oh yeah, yeah. It'd be a lot of us doing homework on the bus. That's how you gotta get it done.
Tell me your course load. NJIT is a very tough school with a great academic reputation. You're majoring in business. It's a lot better than communications and journalism.
Yeah.
What's your what's it like for you? Like, give me a sense of what your courses are like. Tell me the toughest course or two that you're taking right now.
I think the toughest course I'm taking right now is probably principles of marketing. So like stuff like that, just learning new concepts that I never learned before in high school. So like all the business concepts that you just never seen before. That really is like the hardest thing. But I feel like everything's manageable, especially if you work with your professors here. The
Right.
professors are helpful. You
They
know,
understand.
there's so many resources to be great online. Like I feel like you just got to put in the work, and
You
you'll
took
be fine.
calculus last year.
Yeah, that was
How'd
harder
that
for
go?
me with math and everything. Math is pretty hard, but it's just you just gotta apply yourself. You gotta get it done. There's no way out.
How
Gotta get it
hard is
done.
calculus, man? I never took it. I shied away from it. I shied away from calculus in school. I managed to get a college degree without ever taking it. You had to take it as a
Yeah.
freshman. How tough does it have any relation to basketball at all?
None at all. It's really just problem solving the highest level, honestly. Like it's a lot of stuff that you might be like, I really don't need to know this, but you just gotta figure it out and do it.
Yeah, you'll have an NJIT degree to show for it, ideally. So that'll be worthwhile. But who knows if you'll ever use it? Maybe you will. We'll see.
Yeah.
On the court, probably not. All right. Last question. This is an important one, Malachi. You grew up in Somerville. You went to high school in Montclair. You're playing college ball in Newark. Who has the best pizza out of those three cities?
Montclair for sure. I used to after school every day. We used to go to I forgot the name of the place. It was right by my school though, and they used to have the biggest pieces of pizza. And for like $3, you get a big old slice of pizza. And we always get the pasta slice, the one with the pasta on top of it.
Really?
Yeah,
That's adventurous, man. You got to get those carbs in.
it would be good. Get us ready for practice.
All right, so we got an endorsement for Montclair Pizza with the pasta on top.
Yeah,
Malachi Arrington, thank you so much for joining us.
yeah,
NJIT
for
will
sure.
be a team to watch. We'll be watching. Good luck down the road, and thanks for coming on Jersey Jump Shot.
Thank you.
All right, always fun to hear from the players what their life is like. In addition to basketball, of course, what it's like to be coached by Grant Billmeier, who we know so well, has been a guest here before. I'm sure we'll have him on again. NJIT, they're going through a gauntlet right now. Don't let the record fool you. This team is better, and they will be a factor in America East this season. So thanks to Malachi Arrington for coming on, and looking forward to watching his continued development. Somerville guy, Jersey guy, through and through. Okay, let's talk Seton Hall. Go around the state. Seton Hall. How about Seton Hall? 7-1 and ranked number 50 in the first net ranking that came out. That is sort of the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee's baseline tool. 50 gets the Pirates in Big Dance at large range. How about that? Never thought we'd be talking about that when the season began a month ago, but this is what happens when you're 7-1 and you go to Maui. You get a win, not just a win, a dominant win over a ranked NC State team. You play USC to the wire. We'll talk about that, the controversial nature of that loss in a bit. But Seton Hall has been one of the surprises, not just in the Big East, but anywhere in the country this year. And to me, watching that team in Maui, that was St. Peter's on steroids. That team did a lot of things that Shaheen Holloway's really good St. Peter's teams did on both ends of the floor, but with better, bigger athletes. And so you really see something coalescing for the Pirates. AJ Staten McCray with Big East Player of the Week honors, so well deserved, and looking like the player, not who struggled at Miami last year as that ship went down, but 2 years ago, who helped lead Samford to the NCAA tournament and a near win over Kansas in the Big Dance. That's the player that we're seeing play for Seton Hall now, who does a little bit of everything. And you were hearing in the preseason, this guy's going to be good. He's going to be a major factor in this team. On this team, Shaheen Holloway was really counting on him to fill it up, and you've seen that come to fruition. Well deserved. All Maui Invitational honors, all Big East Player of the Week honors. And another player who really jumped out at me, I'm sure many people who watch the games in Maui, was Mike Williams. Here's a guy who he did some things, showed some things at LSU. Wasn't really sure how he would fit in this year with the Pirates, and boy is he fitting in. And not just on the offensive end, he's making some shots for them, but also defensively, he's drawing the hardest assignment, on a game-to-game basis from the other team's best perimeter player. That's an invaluable guy. And the other thing I really liked about Mike Williams is how, he comes down with a cramp in the opener against NC State. He tries to limp out there and finish out limping. And then, he couldn't finish the game, although he contributed a lot to that win. Then he comes out against USC and next day, and it's like nothing happened. That's the kind of like mindset, that toughness factor. It's hard to teach. It's hard to ingrain in somebody. They got to kind of have it. And that's what Shaheen Holloway wants in his players. And like you're seeing now what Shaheen Holloway, this is kind of what he envisioned for this program. Did he suddenly learn how to coach offense? No, he did not suddenly learn how to coach offense. He's always known how to coach offense. He got experienced, high IQ guys who are receptive to his coaching. He's got a point guard who is cut in his own image. So, you need the players. I mean, as much as coaching is hugely influential in all sports and especially college basketball, you need the players. And like last year, Shaheen Holloway went shopping in the bargain bin and he had no choice. And he got players who, weren't as receptive to his coaching, didn't have as high basketball IQ. And that matters. And these guys, this team, he brought in guys with experience, with winning experience, with production experience, who are more his style of players, who are receptive to his coaching. And you see the result of that now. So credit to Shaheen for, I think, sort of putting it all together in his image. And look, Shah, the coach, was never an issue. Shah, the GM, yeah, that was an issue. Now he has more money. He also learned from last year's problems. He learned what to target in the portal. And Seton Hall, to their credit, invested. This is a roster that is between $5 and $6 million has been invested in this roster. And so that shows. So when you invest in a roster and have a coach who you believe in, these are the results you get. And that's what Seton Hall is seeing. All the sort of parts have come together. And I think the university, sort of needed the wake-up call after last year. And also, let's be honest, the advent of revenue sharing helped, because Seton Hall was never going to produce $5 or $6 million to spend on a roster through NIL. It was just never going to happen. We have a cat attacking here. All right, you're going to have to go outside. Got 3 cats here, and this one wanted to talk college basketball. He'll have to wait until we're done. All right. So, let's talk about real quick, a few other things I wanted to mention from Maui about Seton Hall. The officiating in the USC game was absolutely atrocious. The foul disparity was what it was. Seton Hall does foul a lot. It's part of their aggressive defense. But the 2 calls in the final 30 seconds, the foul call against Stephon Payne when the game is 78-78 and he doesn't appear to touch Chad Baker-Mazara, atrocious. And then, of course, getting the out-of-bounds play wrong, the ensuing out-of-bounds play under USC's basket, and Seton Hall not having the ability to review that because they're out of timeouts. So 2 blown calls at the end of the game really helped decide it. I don't know that Seton Hall wins that game in regulation without those calls, but it probably goes into overtime. So that was bad. But really, the takeaway from Maui, and also, by the way, Shah wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and that was, let's be honest, those are some sweet-looking Hawaiian shirts that they came up with for the staff to wear. Seton Hall should really try to market those. I don't know if they can. Some of them might have been specially made, just for the event. But I have 18 Hawaiian shirts, by the way, 18 of them. That's an excessive amount. But that was – so I'm kind of a Hawaiian shirt connoisseur. And I thought the Hawaiian shirts were just sweet that the Pirates had on, the coaching staff had on in Maui. So really kind of put it all together. They kind of put it all together in Maui. And this, I think, is what Shaheen Holloway envisioned his program to be. The team 2 years ago that won 25 games and went to the NIT, won the NIT. I don't think that was the team. That was what Shaheen Holloway envisions. That was kind of him making do with what he had, some of which what he was left by Kevin Willard, who left him with a point guard who maybe isn't in Holloway's mold, but has talent. So they tried to build around that. Having 0 NIL equated to no bench. That team was good, but it wasn't really what he envisioned. This is closer to what Shaheen Holloway envisions from his program. Last thing, really nice touch sending the players into the stands to thank those fans for attending. It did sound like Seton Hall had nice representation in Maui. They usually travel really well for Feast Week, even though the Booster Club didn't run a trip this year. Seton Hall had a pretty good amount of fans there in that gym, made some noise, and a really nice touch having the players go in and thank them. The Pirates have won their fans back. They have won their fans back. I said this at the beginning of the season. Seton Hall has to win their fans back. They've done that. And now let's see, with Central Connecticut State coming to Walsh, it's the last really trip hazard in the schedule here. And they're coming to Walsh. I expect an NIT, an atmosphere that is comparable to what the NIT was 2 years ago in Walsh. A big reception for the team in that small gym, which probably you would think would help avoid any letdown. Central Connecticut State did beat Rutgers. I'm sure every Seton Hall player will be made aware of that this week. And then a huge resume opportunity at Kansas State, a winnable game. This is not going into Fog Allen Fieldhouse. This is a winnable game at Kansas State, a quad one winnable opportunity for Seton Hall. So this is a pretty interesting week for them. The Big East is down. The Pirates have a chance to make a run. You can make a case to the third best team in the league right now, behind UConn, obviously, which looks really good, and St. John's, which has lost some games against elite competition, but we're pretty sure will be very good. Speaking of St. John's, I saw Rick Pitino, stumping over and over again to add Dayton to the Big East. I just want to add my 2 cents on that. And I do have a lot of respect for Dayton. It's a really well-run program. They invest a lot. They have a great fan base. I've been to the arena there for the first 4. It's a tremendous arena. The local fans are great. They support college basketball. Dayton's a really good college basketball town. That's why they hold the first 4 there. Obviously, it's centrally located as well. It is a serious basketball program. The issue is with adding a 12th team there's a couple issues here. One is that it breaks up the round robin, right? Right now you have 11 teams, you have 20 league games. If you add a 12th, you're asking for 22 league games. That's a lot of league games, man. Otherwise, you got to break up the round robin, which is really important to the parity of the league, competitiveness of the league. Coaches love it. It's just fair, and it makes a lot of sense to have a true round robin. You'd have to break that up. And the other thing is you're adding a 12th team. You're diluting by another partner the revenue share off the media rights deal. And so for a league that needs every dollar it can get, every dollar of revenue share it can get, and Seton Hall is a testament to how much of a difference that can make, like how much better the Pirates have gotten, you're gonna dilute that for Dayton. Does Dayton move the needle in terms of the next media rights deal? Because if they move the needle and the next media rights deal is going to go up, that much more because Dayton is involved, is on board, then it's worth it. But I don't know if they're going to move the needle. I don't know if the coaches think they're going to move the needle or the ADs think they're going to move the needle. I suspect not. Rick Pitino obviously does. I suspect that most of them don't, which is why I don't think Dayton winds up in the Big East. To me, the ideal next edition, if you want to expand, if you want to mess with the round robin, if you want to maybe try to move the needle for a revenue, the next media rights deal, the logical team is Notre Dame. Now, will Notre Dame be available? I don't know the answer to that, but they have their own. They don't need a home for their football. Their football is comfortably and independent with its own TV deal. If the ACC, starts to crack and maybe implode, does Notre Dame want to move back into the Big East? Notre Dame's a huge brand that traditionally has been, good in basketball, and that's a brand that can maybe move the needle. So to me, they'd be a 6 Midwestern team. You'd have 6 in the East, 6 in the Midwest. To me, Notre Dame makes more sense than Dayton. Now, Notre Dame maybe is unavailable right now, but like if UConn came back, maybe Notre Dame comes back. To me, I think that makes more sense. Rick Pitino obviously wants Dayton, so just want to weigh in my 2 cents on that one. All right, let's talk Rutgers. Rutgers comes in off the Players Era Festival in Las Vegas. They salvaged the event with a pretty nice looking win over UNLV. Had to come back in the second half, wound up winning comfortably by 15. Played really well in the second half on both ends. in a semi-road game. I'm not a fan of the players era format. I think it stinks that there's no bracket. I'm not the only one who thinks that. But the format did help Rutgers get a draw at the end that, enabled them to play comparable team. I thought Notre Dame would be a comparable team. They did lose by 5. Notre Dame really had that game in control most of the way. So Rutgers played better at the end of that tournament. Now they have the toughest possible week coming up. I mean, Purdue at home and Michigan on the road. 2 best teams in the country right now. Michigan's got to be the best team in the country right now. And Purdue's close, AP number 1. Yeah, I mean, that's just a brutal week to open your Big Ten play with. So I don't know how we're going to evaluate Rutgers off this week. I mean, they're probably in line to take two pretty rough losses, right? To me, it's about this is about developing some of these guys for later in the season. Lino Mark and Chris Nwuli, 2 freshmen who started to play really well defensively at the end of that event in Vegas. 2 guys with speed, with athleticism, 2 guys who can help Rutgers defensively if they get the schemes, if they can get Rutgers coverage schemes, they have an opportunity to really help Rutgers right now. And I think the light kind of went on with the coaching staff in the UNLV game. You saw how much more time they got, 31 combined minutes for these 2 guys. Play these 2 guys more. No matter what the score is the coming week against these 2 teams, you got to get these guys out there and get them acclimated, get them used to Rutgers' defensive scheme. They're both raw on the offensive end at this level, but I see promise there as far as what Steve Peichel wants from his team defensively with these guys. To me, they got to play more. I think they will. That's the impression I get from speaking with Steve earlier today. And so that's something I'll be looking for sure. Interesting side note, and I covered Rutgers' football game against Penn State. They lost a wild finish with the fumble and everything, fumble recovery for Penn State. Rutgers finished 5-7 in football, 2-7 in the Big Ten. But you heard Greg Schiano afterwards raise the subject of the roster budget and how, what they're doing is not what they have is not comparable at all to teams in their league. Really unprompted, he said, what we're doing is miraculous. He said miraculous. To me, that's an exaggeration. I don't know how I can say miraculous about 2-7, but the point does apply in my view. And, Aaron Brightman, who's a good friend of mine, who does a great job podcasting about Rutgers sports, really has sort of his pulse on the fan base, his finger on the pulse of the Rutgers fan. His podcast today was basically, look, Greg's right. And, Kelly Zinn, the new AD, before she starts firing coaches, needs to give them a chance with Big Ten level resources. And so will we see that put in place in this offseason for Rutgers football, basketball wise? That's, I think, kind of going to be the underlying theme. And obviously fans don't want to deal with 5-7 seasons and losing seasons in basketball. And we understand that. But, Aaron made a good point about that. It's something to consider just as while we're mentioning Rutgers, Michigan. Michigan as a player, Yaxel Lendeborg, who's Pennsauken High School graduate, who's making a reported $3 million this year. That's like almost Rutgers' entire team's roster payroll. One guy on Michigan is making almost as much as Rutgers' entire team. That's the pool, the deep end of the pool here that Rutgers is wading into. Now, that doesn't excuse a loss to Central Connecticut State by 13 at home. Inexcusable, terrible loss. That's on the coaching staff and on the Rutgers players. Can't lose that game. That has nothing to do with NIL, or very little to do with it. But like we saw with Shaheen Holloway last year, he's got not much of a budget. He's taking some chances on some players with, who haven't proven much, because you got to take chances when you're shopping in the bargain bin. It blew up in Seton Hall's face last year. The university took pains to rectify that this year. Will Rutgers be going through those kinds of pains this year? We'll see, possibly. But this is what you're dealing with. It's kind of apples and oranges going forward. For Rutgers, to me, the themes of the season: developing Dylan Grant. You have a potential Big Ten star. You got to develop this guy into a go-to guy. He's having some fits and starts with that. You can see it's there in Dylan Grant. Got to develop him, got to keep him. The poachers are going to come. Got to keep him. Got to develop these freshmen, and you're going to have to add some pieces. So this is a developmental year for Rutgers. There's going to be some pain. Can they come out of it on the right end? What is Kelly Zinn's vision for sort of bolstering that? We're going to find out. And those are sort of the themes that go beyond what looks to be a very difficult week ahead for the Scarlet Knights. Quickly around the state, well, one game in particular, Princeton's at Monmouth Wednesday. Nice local rivalry. We love the local Jersey versus Jersey rivalries. These series are important to maintain. Princeton's 3-7. They have 4 straight losses, but the asterisk is they have those losses without Dalen Davis, junior guard, their best player. And in the last 3 games, Princeton lost to Temple, Vermont, and St. Joe's by a combined 11 points without Dalen Davis. So that's showing you something that the younger players are starting to get it in Princeton's program. This is a team without any seniors. Of course, they'll be judged on how they perform in the Ivy League schedule, which is a few weeks away from starting. But interesting how they will match up against Monmouth, probably without Davis again, who's got to look like a pretty badly sprained ankle that he's dealing with. And why rush him back when you want him to be fully healthy for the Ivy League games that matter most? Monmouth is 4-4. They won 2 out of 3 in a tourney at Lehigh over Thanksgiving weekend. Andrew Ball, the pride of Marlton, a Shawnee High School grad, playing really well for Monmouth, earning a bigger role. And that's it's an interesting game. We're going to do more Monmouth later this week. I think we're going to have a Monmouth guest on our next Jersey Jump Shot, so we'll really dig into the Hawks at that time. But for now, interesting times for New Jersey basketball. Not a season left for dead. Not a season that nothing interesting was going to happen. It is college basketball where there's surprises around every corner. And so we thank NJIT big man Malachi Arrington for joining us, talking Grant Billmeier, talking calculus. What's the calculus going forward for New Jersey college basketball? We're going to find out, and we're glad that you'll be with us all the way here on Jersey Jump Shot.